Real estate can be as just an incredible way to build wealth. I mean, you buy a property, it appreciates in value, and then you sell it for a nice profit. Sounds simple, right? But what happens after you make that successful sale? Well, that's when a brand new and very, very expensive problem can pop up out of nowhere and threaten to take a huge bite out of everything you've earned.
So picture this. You've done everything by the book. You bought a great investment property, you held on to it, and now you're finally ready to sell and move on to the next big thing. You are looking at a massive profit. Life is good. But then, you see this number, $341,300. And no, that is not your profit. That's what you might owe in taxes from that one sale. All of a sudden, that huge win feels a whole lot smaller, doesn't it?
So, what would you do? I mean, really? Would you just hand over nearly 350 grand to the government? Or is there maybe another way to keep your capital, your money, working for you? This, right here, is the central dilemma for so many successful real estate investors.
Okay, let's break down exactly where a massive tax bill like this even comes from. Because when you sell a profitable investment property, you're not just paying one tax. Oh no, you could get hit by 3 different ones all at once.
Yeah, this isn't just one thing. It's a stack of 3 different taxes. First, you've got your standard long-term capital gains tax. Then there's something called the net investment income tax. But the real kicker, the one that catches so many people by surprise, is the depreciation recapture tax. For all those years you lowered your taxable income by claiming depreciation on the property, well, the IRS wants a piece of that back at a pretty hefty 25% rate. You can see how this all adds up incredibly fast.
Facing a bill like that can feel, well, pretty defeating. But what if you could just hit pause on it? What if you could put it off? That's where one of the most powerful tools in the entire tax code comes into play for real estate investors.
And this is it, the 1031 exchange. The name itself comes straight from Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code. The idea is actually pretty simple. You sell your property, but instead of taking the cash and paying all those taxes, you roll the entire amount into a new like-kind investment property. Now, the key word there is defer. You're not eliminating the tax bill, you're just kicking the can down the road, which allows your entire profit to keep growing for you.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. The timeline is incredibly strict. I mean non-negotiable. From the day you sell your property, a 180-day clock starts ticking. And within the first 45 of those days, you have to formally identify, in writing, the new properties you might buy. If you miss either of those deadlines by a single day, the whole deal is off, and that massive tax bill comes due immediately.
And it's not just about the timeline. There are some strict financial rules too. You can think of them as the 3 commandments for a successful exchange. Number 1, the new property has to be worth the same as or more than the one you sold. Number 2, you have to roll all of the cash from the sale into the new deal. And number 3, you have to take on an equal or greater amount of debt. Any cash you try to pocket or any debt you reduce, well, the IRS calls that boot, and it's almost always taxable. The impact of getting this right is, well, it's just staggering. Look at this scenario from the source material. An investor sells a property for $1.5 million. In scenario A, they just pay the taxes. There's our old friend, the $341,300 bill. But in scenario B, they use a 1031 exchange. The tax bill? Zero. Zilch. That's an extra $341,300 they get to reinvest. I mean, that is a massive, massive difference. So, you did it. You successfully pulled off a 1031 exchange, you bought a new rental property, and you saved a fortune in taxes. You're a genius. But hang on, what did you actually just buy? You've swapped one property for another, right? Which means you've also just swapped one set of landlord problems for a whole new set. And that reality, well, it can get complicated. To get a handle on this, we looked at a discussion between actual landlords about their experiences. And wow, the perspectives are just night and day. On one side, you have experiences like this one, a landlord reporting extreme property damage, leading to $10,000 rehabs every time a tenant moves out. But then, in the very same discussion, you find this. A completely different landlord claims that the vast majority of their tenants are fantastic and that they would take a seasoned Section 8 tenant any day. So what's going on here? When you really boil down the conversation, a clear list of pros and cons starts to take shape. The pros? Guaranteed rent from the government, being able to charge fair market rates, and a stable tenant base. The cons? Reports of major property damage, a mountain of administrative headaches, late payments from the housing authority, and even trouble collecting a tenant's tiny portion of the rent.
The reality of being a landlord is clearly not one size fits all.
This all brings up a really critical question. You got into real estate to build wealth, right? Not to deal with trashed apartments or chase down $60 in rent. There's got to be a way to stay in the game without all the headaches of being a hands-on property manager.
So yeah, how do you keep the tax deferral, the appreciation, and the income, but get rid of the tenants, the toilets, and the trash? This is the core problem so many investors face after years and years of active management. They're just tired.
And here is a potential answer: the Delaware Statutory Trust, or DST for short. Now, this is a really fascinating setup. The IRS has officially said that a DST counts as a like-kind property for a 1031 exchange. So you're not buying another single-family rental, you're buying a small, fractional piece of a large, professionally managed institutional-grade property that's held inside a trust.
And the benefits here directly attack the landlord problems we were just looking at. Ownership is completely passive. A professional team handles literally everything. You get access to these massive, high-quality properties you could never dream of buying on your own. And this is critical for a 1031 exchange. These deals are all prepackaged, so you can close on them super quickly and easily meet that 180-day deadline. No sweat. So instead of managing a duplex, your money could be in a portfolio of properties that look more like this. We're talking large apartment complexes, medical office buildings, or corporate headquarters, all without you ever having to take a single call from a tenant.
So we've walked through the tax problem, the 1031 solution, the hidden reality of being a landlord, and a more passive way out. At the end of the day, it really all comes down to a choice about what kind of investor you truly want to be.
Let's just put it all side by side. You can be the active landlord, totally hands-on, high time commitment, dealing directly with tenants and all the maintenance. Or you can be the passive investor, using something like a DST, low time commitment, with seasoned professionals managing huge institutional-grade properties for you. There's no one right answer, but they are fundamentally different ways to invest your money in real estate.
And that really brings us to our final question for you. Knowing the tax advantages and the day-to-day realities of both active and passive ownership, which path fits better with your financial goals and, just as important, your lifestyle? The choice is yours.